Hello everyone. Today we're gonna learn in Freecad a couple of small ideas how to make a design. So let me start with the Freecad. So you should have already installed that one. And if you start your Freecad, you see here a start module. So that's on the top here in the middle. You see a module. And technically speaking, if you have some recent files, probably you don't have it, then they are listed here. And you can also have some examples. I will look in these examples as well. Okay, so I'm going to create a new one, right? So if I click on that, then it is actually starting it, and I'm going to click again. And now here on the list of modules, you may have a different list, maybe a little bit of a shorter list. This is because I have installed some add-ons. So you can have a look here on the tools. You have an add-on manager, and then you can, if you like to have installed one add-on, you can install this. This is all freeware, this is all open source. Technically speaking, you can just add on some packages which are done by the community support, by some people that they are interested to do some add-ons on Freecad. So by the way, if you have installed, probably you don't recognize like a dark scheme here, so I'm using a dark scheme. If you want to have this a different scheme, you can have a look in the preferences, because under preferences you may have different styles. So I'm using here one of the many possibilities. You can just have a look and use whatever you like. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a look in the part design module. So the part design is more or less the way to go in all type of CAD programs. So if I'm gonna click on that, then you will, if you have used anything like a commercial program before, then you will get to understand, you will see how it is working. So first of all, I'm gonna create a body. So this is, technically speaking, there's like tasks here like helping me what to do, and there's only one option that I create a body. That's my intention. So if I click on the create the body, then there is a create sketch. So there's also a Boolean operation possibility, but we will come to that later on. So create sketch is a two-dimensional drawing that I need to first say which plane, right? So there are three different planes. This is a plane which is x, y. That means it's along x and y. It's orthogonal to the z direction and the other way around. So I'm gonna choose that one. Okay, at the moment maybe it's not clear because we don't know what I'm going to draw. So I'm gonna improvise a bit and say okay. Now I'm technically inside of this plane. So there are different stuff, like one of them is the auto constraint. This is pretty handy, by the way. We're gonna come to that as well. But before doing that, in order to show you the whole idea of what we are going to do, I'm just going to choose one of the simplest ones. So by the way, here you see the whole tools, and now you can see that we are in the sketcher module. So at the moment, from the part design, I clicked and said, okay, I want to make a sketch. It jumped directly to the sketcher module. And here you see a bunch of new stuff that we are going to use. You can just change the order of them. You can also take them out. You can also put them like somewhere else on the screen. That it is completely depending on your wishes and demands. So it may be the case if you have a couple of stuff on top of each other, right? It may be the case that you don't see them all, right? So in order to see them all, you need to have them, you need to separate them. And you see here it is now hidden, so you cannot really see that. But if I just put it here, then you will see it, okay? But these are the icons, technically speaking. You can reach everything also here on top. We always have file edit view, but on top of that, depending on the module, because now we are in the sketch module, there's also this list item. If I click on that, then you see all the possible geometries, constraints that we are going to use. What I want to do is a sketch. Okay, so I want to make a sketch. Let me do a really simple one and maybe a rectangle. Okay, so here you see a rectangle. So if I click on that, I'm going to make a rectangle here. So there are automatically, because there are these edit controls, auto constraints, there are automatically some constraints on it. This constraint means that this line is horizontal. You can say, okay, it's obvious that is horizontal. Why is that? Because I need to tell the Freecad all the constraints necessary such that this sketch is unique. So what that means, for example, it is at the moment white, right? The color is white, and if you have a look on the left hand side, there's a message. The message is saying under constraints sketch with 4 degrees of freedom. So 4 degrees of freedom means that this sketch is not clearly defined. It can be anything. So what it can be, for example, this line, this vertical line can be shorter, or this horizontal line can be longer, right? Or if you like, so now I'm gonna push the button escape. If I push the button escape, you're gonna see on the screen that I push the button escape. Doesn't look really nice. But if I, for example, use the button control, then you're gonna see it. Now I push the button escape. Sorry, I did it 2 times, but I wanted to go back to the sketch. So here's the sketch, by the way, on the left, the model. So I'm clicking it, and now I'm again in the sketch. So in the sketch, so I can try to change the rectangle. You see, I can move it. I can move it X and Y. So these are 2 degrees of freedom, and then I can also make it smaller along X and Y, again 2 degrees of freedom. So there are 4 different possibilities. So this sketch is not clear. I can live with that. I can say, yeah, that's fine, I don't care about it. But technically speaking, we want to have all the dimensions correctly set. So the dimensions like the length of this horizontal line. How can I do that? You see on the top, there are a lot of constraints, they call it constraint, and also there's like a horizontal distance between 2 points. So I can choose this one and also choose the line, and then it will automatically tell me the length. So we can say, no, I mean it was 81, but actually I wanted to have 65 millimeter, enter. So what happens here is like 65, okay? So exactly like this. Now we have 3 degrees of freedom because I fixed already one. I can also say the vertical direction and 50, just by chance. I like it. I'm gonna say 50 is fine. There are still 2 degrees of freedom, so I can also have a look. The last stuff that I have chosen is still on the mouse. You can see it. It's still on it. In order to get rid of it, I'm gonna hit the escape. So now I haven't chosen anything. That's the bare mouse. So I can now select it and then try to move it. You see, I can move it freely on X and Y. These are the 2 degrees of freedom I need to fix. I cannot make it smaller because I already fixed the length. So that's the whole idea. So how can I fix the position? For example, I can say the distance from the top to this middle line, which is the axis, is 35 millimeters. Or what I can do is also I can use a constraint, right? So I'm here using a constraint, and this is a coincident constraint. That means this point that I'm choosing and this point in the middle, which is the nothing else, just 0, 0, 0 point, they are coincident. So that means Freecad has to move it. I'm using scroll in order to make it smaller. You can also use like shift, like holding shift and then using mouse, and then see that. Now you see there are fully constrained sketch and the color turned green. So this is what I wanted to have. Now I can say close, or I can hit escape, doesn't matter. So now I'm again in the part design. It was sketcher. Now I went back to the part design, and in the part design I have the sketch. What I can do is, I can have a look in the task, by the way. What I can do is I can use the sketch. It is selected. I deselect it. I can select it again. Right? So I can use this sketch. Couldn't select it. I go back to the model here on the left and then use sketch. Now I have selected. If I go to tasks, then there are a lot of different possibilities to make this 2-dimensional sketch 3-dimensional. For example, pad is like extrusion. So it is creating a plane and then extruding it. For example, 10 millimeters, I can say reverse direction, because we have chosen a plane along this plane or across this plane. I can use a reverse the other direction, or I can have a symmetric to plane so that it's in the middle is this plane that I have chosen. Okay, so 10 millimeters, why not? I have chosen this is a 3-dimensional object. It's pretty boring, of course, but now what I can do is I can go back to that, to the model, and I can have a look. There's kind of a tree here. There's body, and then the body has been created by using path. There's a sketch, so I can always go to the path, for example, double click on it and then say, yeah, I want to have the length not 10 millimeter, but I want to have, I don't know, 15. Okay, I delete it by using backspace. That was this weird stuff, and then put a 5, and I can change, so it will change. So I can always change the sketch or path, it will be updated.